Hi, everyone, and welcome to Fan Commentary. Now, this is part 3 to the David Trueheart story arc in Power Rangers Zeo. I never really cared for this story. It's not that I hate it overall, it's very confusing. It introduces this element to Tommy's backstory that doesn't really make any sense. It kind of came out of nowhere. It's just like he had a secret brother, and we find out that he was part of this Native American thing, which is it's an interesting idea, a concept. It just didn't really work. I do like that King Mondo was more involved in this part of the story, which is cool because, use your main villain in some capacity. I think it was also a problem with, mixing so many different types of Sentai episodes into this and trying to get it to work, where the story just, they didn't know what to do with it. Even though this story arc is 3 episodes long, it felt like this part should have been in 2 parts because we're just rushing through certain things. We have an issue here. They're trying to get the Red Battlezord combination to work with the Zeo Megazord. And, we see his equipment not working right, shorting out. But then later on, it just works. There's no real tension buildup. It's just, it's not working here. David's stuck in the cave, and we have to worry about him. It's just too many things they're trying to show, but it doesn't feel like there's the danger. I thought it was really cool and interesting that they had brought Jason David Frank's real brother in the story. I mean, it was I don't mind that when they bring in a family member as long as they can act right and they have a good character to use. It's fine. And as they went along with using David, it was okay. It's just that they dropped him later on. I had really wished David became like the Gold Ranger, but since they had already started doing other things behind the scenes and getting Austin St. John back, they just didn't do it. I really think David could have become the Sixth Ranger, or at least played the triplets in that regard. The story also was cool that they went back to like how they set up the Zeo crystals in the beginning because Tommy found his crystals from the same guy in the pilot from Sam Trueheart, and it has that link. It's just that of all things, Native Americans and Tommy has this lost brother. It's just like because we didn't really know anything about Tommy's backstory at all. We've seen most of the other parents, but Tommy's we never really did. So when they brought this in, it's just like, really? Okay. I really love this actual combination of the Steel Battle Zord. I wish the toy actually did that with the helmet, but unfortunately, no. You just stick it on. The whole Arrowhead idea, thought it would have been interesting if they actually pulled it off, where King Mondo took the Arrowhead, absorbed the powers, and had control of these special monsters, or maybe they made them into generals. It could have been an interesting story arc that PR could have tried to do. Now, at this point, I really got tired of Goldar and this stuff. Although I do like it that they acknowledge that, Angel Grove is being attacked so many times with monsters. They do have these, monster attack alarms to warn people, which, again, they show some progress and it shows that people care about the city being attacked. I really wish they had gotten rid of Goldar. It just, the joke became very bland. I understand why they kept him because, what does Bulk and Skull really have to do? I mean, they became junior officers and you can do jokes with them so much, but. And I particularly think that the jokes with Bulk and Skull in this episode with Goldar, they really didn't hit well. It's just, they were just showing stupidity for the sake of stupidity. What even more is dumb is because Lieutenant Stone knows Bulk and Skull after, a couple of years now. They do this type of stupid nonsense. And he should be used to it, and it's pretty standard. Tanya, you live in a universe where aliens attack your planet, monsters come from, lipstick and all this other weird nonsense. Myths and folklore should be, pretty standard. We have also magic in this universe. Nothing should phase you. A monster coming from a fairy tale should be, common and you should accept it. I always found that very odd. This I also really didn't like because, again, David's stuck in the cave, they have this impenetrable force field, and then later on, in a few minutes, it just solves itself. They really didn't think of, like, Tommy trying to figure out how to break in or maybe use billions in capacity. This is where the episode really fails me. I think if they had spaced out a little bit more, like maybe the Red Battlezord stuff was maybe pushed to the earlier episode and then just focus solely on David and getting him out, it would have worked better. Now, this brings up a big question in the PR universe. If David could do that, then pretty much anyone could do that. So, why doesn't more people actually hold on to monsters or anyone, even the Power Rangers, teleport out and solve some issues like this? I also had hoped that maybe the Autochthon could have become a more reoccurring monster because he's supposed to be this special, monster that came out of sleeping. So it's like, well, maybe you could use him for something else. Maybe become a general. That's what I wish they had set up here because this is a three-parter and it's just like it's a big reveal, a big moment. It's just like hardly anything gets continued besides David into the rest of the season. I honestly think Tommy should have just teleported him to the power chamber and revealed his identity right from there. If he was going to do it right here, he might as well have done it in a more safer location. Also, another thing that they missed on is that, okay, David was revealed and he knows who the Power Rangers are, which again, it's fine. But, I missed the thing where Zordon would actually talk to the person who was revealed, say, keep their powers. It's all kind of glossed over, which is unfortunate because, David could have been a cool, useful asset to the season, and it would have been nice to see him interact with Zordon, meet Alpha, more backstory, like why did David, go with the Native Americans, like what happened, what caused the separation. It's just like we know very little to Tommy's history, backstory, his family. It's just unfortunate that it was never explored when we finally had a chance to start something here. This scene with Bulk and Skull, I didn't even understand what was going on because from what I see from how they're acting here, they're doing it on purpose. It's not like they're just being dumb and seeing things, although that looks like a mustache. It's either because maybe they're overacting, which is causing the issue, but it just feels like they're placating Lieutenant Stone so that they have an excuse just so that he got out of there and they didn't find out Goldar. And now this footage is actually reused from the pilot episode of O Ranger. This is where the four main rangers were actually being hunted down. I think, Power Rangers had an interesting idea to incorporate other different types of storytelling into its season, especially the early ones. They wanted to focus on different types of stories. It's just I think they just didn't know how to combine them in order to integrate them into the story. It's just like, okay, you want to show nationalities and various other folklores. It's just when you have to deal with Sentai footage, it probably was too difficult, so they put multiple things together and they just had to try to shoehorn it into various ways. I mean, it also complicates Tommy's backstory, and when we really don't need to have that, it's weird saying it complicates Tommy's backstory when Tommy really doesn't have a lot of backstory to himself. It makes it more convoluted, but at the same time, it's like it gives you more, but not like the right stuff of more. I think Zio also had a problem with naming stuff. I mean, PR in general, they kind of don't want to name things like how Sentai always names attacks, weapons, special abilities, things like that. They go out of their way to name things and have interesting names. Well, PR never really was good in that area. They would always just use generic names for like abilities. Sometimes they won't even name attacks. You'll see them do movements like I think in season 2, where Tommy would do attacks inside the Tiger Zord, they never really named anything. He'd just do them, and you'd see him do the flips, and nothing would be said. With these type of episodes, I always wondered what came first. Like, picked footage from Sentai episodes of what they could use and then think of the story, or do they think of the story and then try to look through the various archives to figure out what can we use and then what can't we use, and try to stay on budget and try to use as limited amount of material that we can in order to work it into the episodes? Which, Power Rangers does fairly good consistently. That's one of its benefits, from the various writers and editors that come through the series, which is why I love it, because they can take so many different elements from Sentai and stock footage basically and get it to work. But then there are times like this episode where it doesn't really work, and you can see that they're editing things out. Things are rushed because of that, and it just has a really annoying pacing problem. I'm grateful that it doesn't really happen anymore. Well, just usually it's story quality that usually happens, but in the past, sometimes we run into episodes like this. And like, why do some episodes suffer like this one, and other ones where it's like, wow, they used like 6 or 7 different episodes of Sentai and put them all together and it worked beautifully. I do like that little reference of the putties. It's actually, oh good, we remember our history. And this was okay. I like how it says, they would be nuts, which is weird after they've been, doing the same thing over and over again for years. And the only reason why they stay here is because this is the only place in the world that gets attacked by monsters. So it's okay to be obsessed with monsters. It's just a very odd test. I wish they had gotten something different, because this joke doesn't really play out that well. Whenever they introduce a new character in PR, it's just like I always get, disappointed when, it's just one of those things that you wondered what could have been when they, come up with these characters, and like, did they have an arc, or was it there just to fill in time? Unfortunately, David Trueheart has to join, characters like Curtis, who started out somewhere, but because of various issues in the show, that they couldn't do them or pursue them. I also love this particular blooper because it actually shows material that was actually cut out, because this shows the scene actually went on a little bit longer, minus of course the joke. So I just always wondered, like, what's missing on that cutting room floor of what PR had, because there could be a lot of gems and stuff that's there that we could have, it would have been great if they remastered the series and got all that material out from either Japan's footage or the US footage.